national writer of Japan is a Greek from the island of Lefkada between Greece and Italy. The national writer of Japan is a Greek lefkadios hearn, or Giacomo Koizumi. He was described as the Papa Diamandis of the Far East. In his birthplace, Lefkada, a bust of Lefkada hearn has been in the Poets' Park since 1985, next to Valeritis and Sikelianos. Also, the street in the house that he was born in the center of the city has its name in Greek and Japanese, while the cultural exchanges with Shinjuku in Tokyo and Lefkada continue. The story of Lefkadio hearn looks like a fairy tale, and that's why it became a serial in 1987 on Greek television starring George Sakiris. In fact, in the biographical novel The Odyssey of Lefkadia Hearn, the author Jonathan Colt claims him a wandering ghost, quote unquote. Hearn from Lefkada was born in Lefkada in June of 1850. His mother was Rosa Casimati, a 25-year-old girl from Kythera. His father, Major Charles Hearn, an Irishman who served as a military doctor in the then British-occupied Ionian Islands. Hearn moved to Dublin in 1852 and left with his wife and 2-year-old son. At the age of 4, little Lefkadios found himself without parents after his father went to serve in India and his mother returned to Greece, leaving him under the care of his aunt. Shortly after reaching the age of 16 and having already formed a pantheistic worldview, see Kenneth Rexroth, 1987, World Outside the Window, selected essays of Kenneth Rexroth. He was forced to drop out of school after 3 years, not enduring the extreme closeness and religiosity of the Irish, as well as the wickedness of their conservative society because of his disability and deformity. One damaged eye was white and the other was red from overwork. And he left at just 19 years old for the USA and settled in Cincinnati, Ohio. After a brief period of utter economic misery, he finally met the English publisher and radical utopian communist Henry Watkin, 1824 to 1910, who encouraged him to pursue a career in journalism, where he distinguished himself for many years with the Cincinnati Daily Enquirer, 1872 to 1875, Cincinnati Commercial, 1875 to 1877, Times Democrat of New Orleans, 1877 to 1890. In 1875, he provoked the racist morals of the time in his marriage to the Alethea Mattie Foley, which was considered a scandal since the law at that time did not recognize marriages between whites and non-whites, and cost him his dismissal from the Cincinnati Daily Enquirer, which, however, paved the way for him to work in the rival Cincinnati Commercial. However, because Cincinnati's tobacco and heavy industry air pollution bothered his hypersensitive right eye, he decided in 1877 to leave for New Orleans, where for about 12 years, 1889 to 1890, he worked for the Times Democrat, whose audience was acclaimed for its sleek staff, who passed quickly from the history of the Creole to the special cuisine of the area and the folk customs and traditions of voodoo, highlighted in the state as an area of quirky morals and unbridled hedonism. In 1887, he traveled to the West Indies on behalf of Harper's Magazine, where he wrote 2 years in the French West Indies and the novel Huma about a slave rebellion, both published in 1890. As a journalist, he arrived in Yokohama in 1889, sent by the American magazine Harper's Magazine. Shortly before leaving for Japan, he wrote in the magazine that what he intended was to present to readers the true picture of life in Japan, quote, not as a mere observer, but as someone who can participate in the daily lives of ordinary people, and who in addition can, he thinks, with their own thoughts, end quote. Shortly after his arrival, however, he broke his contract with the magazine and settled in Matsui, northwestern Japan, which at the time had not yet been eroded by Western customs teaching English. During his stay there, he became closely associated with the people, developing a brotherly friendship with Professor Nishida Sentaro, and only in the 15th month after he arrived in the country did he marry Koizumi Setsu, or Setsuko, the daughter of a former samurai of the region, now destroyed due to the invasion of the Westerners and the consequent dissolution of all traditional social hierarchies. With Setsu, he later had 3 sons, Kazuo, Iwao, and Kiyoshi, and a daughter, Setsuko. In Japan, Lefkadios Hearn lived the last 14 years of his life. He became the national writer of Japan. Hearn recorded another Japan of samurai legends and traditional values. He was described as the most authentic Japanese performer in the West, while his book, Glances at the Unknown Japan, was taught in all schools in the country for decades. His books are sought after. There are 8 museums in his honor all over Japan, while his statue stands out at the center square of Tokyo, and monuments have been erected in every corner of Japan where he passed. Lefkadios essentially accepts that in the depiction of the human form, Greek and Japanese art coincide in a common aesthetic perception, which is the denial of individualization. Artists of the unique culture, the Greeks, were able to perform this miracle to extract the ideal of the beauty of their race from their own souls and to establish its fluid contour in jewelry and stone, he said. He died suddenly in September 1904, and until his last moment he did not stop being proud of his Greek origin. He left behind a massive body of work from books and university lectures included in the 27-volume Japanese edition of his work, 27 volumes. In it, he portrays Japan in an ideal way, presenting to the West a hitherto unknown country, which at that time was trying to approach the model of Western state. His books include not only descriptions of landscapes and morals, but also transcripts of myths, studies of Japan's 2 main religious denominations, Shinto and Buddhism, and even historical, social, and artistic analysis. This is from the life of Lefkadios Hearn, and I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Amazing, isn't it? He's been over the whole world, basically from Europe all the way to Japan. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.